What is Bitcoin?
It's weird. It's weird. But
well, Bitcoin is the solution. Now go back to the beginning. What is money? Well, an economy consists of goods, services, and property.
I don't think that's true, actually. I don't think
money is socio-economic
if you buy
energy.
Groceries, if you buy practically anything now, you have ID on a card, credit cards or otherwise.
And the real significance here is if the dollar loses 20% of its purchasing power each year,
nobody ever says that.
The value of your salary is deteriorating by 20% a year. It's not falling at the rate of CPI inflation.
You know, it's still horrible when you look at inflation and everything else. But
the problem with inflation is inflation does not respect conservation of energy. I've got a leak in the system. I've designed a currency which is not conservative.
100 million to 1. That's not good odds.
21 million coins, 2.1 quadrillion satoshis. Bitcoin is simply pure economic
fraud.
Energy.
The people see it like
these engineers, Satoshi and all of Satoshi's compatriots.
It's a very interesting group of people. I had very good relationships, I thought.
What they did is created an engineered monetary asset on an open, permissionless network.
Who wants open borders?
That anybody could participate in.
Everything. Let people buy everything.
Hello and welcome, my freedom-loving, free-thinking friends, to this Friday's live stream. My name is Wasim and I am an investor, a mentor and a seeker of truth, and I come to you twice a week with the latest news with what's happening in the cryptoverse, geopolitically and geoeconomically around the world, and how this is going to be affecting our money and the future of our money. And today the world has changed. Well, last night the world changed. With dramatic change in the world, economics and geopolitics happened, which we will be covering today. And we're going to be looking at how everything will go to zero versus Bitcoin, and why now, as I've always been saying this whole year, this is the year for accumulation. Because if Bitcoin goes through a bull run next year, the halving, it can overshoot $100,000 a Bitcoin. So let's get straight into this week's latest news and news update. Let me get the banner up. Who do we have on the line today? Here we go. News highlights. All right. So first up, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and 4 other countries officially joined BRICS. And this is what I said to you guys. The world changed last night geopolitically. 6 nations joined the BRICS. I don't know what they're going to call themselves now. Maybe BRICS Plus, BRICS 11. I don't know. But the news is Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Iran, Argentina, Egypt, and Ethiopia. So I've got Saudi Arabia, UAE, Iran, Argentina, Egypt, and Ethiopia. 6 new countries have joined the BRICS or have been invited to join the BRICS. Their membership will start on the 1st of January 2024. So it's 3 months away or so, and they will become full members. Now, this has been breaking news because I did some analysis, right? I've been watching this. I've been doing my own analysis for a while. These guys joining together now, between Saudi Arabia and Iran coming into the BRICS with Russia. Now, this is 80% of the world's oil-producing companies in one economic bloc. And if you've been watching the BRICS throughout the whole past couple of days, in their summit, if you've been keeping up with the news, the biggest thing that they're talking about is de-dollarization. They are adamant on de-dollarizing the world. They want to get rid of the power of the US dollar, because the US dollar has weaponized it against many nations, including China, including Russia. You can't weaponize a currency against 2 large superpowers. And I mean, India doesn't have any sanctions, but India is also a very large economy. So and is a superpower also. So these countries, you can't sanction them with your dollar and not expect them to retaliate. And this is exactly what BRICS have done. Now they've brought in 6 large countries, which actually now means the BRICS together have a total of 38% of the global GDP. Now, the G7 has a total of about 30%. So even before these 6 nations joined, the BRICS were already at 31.5%. So they were already 1.5% ahead of the G7. Now that these guys joined, nearly 50% of the world's population in one economic bloc. They're talking about trading in their own local currencies, or using the yuan, or using the ruble. Whatever it is that they do, they're moving away from the dollar. This is going to have a major hit on the dollar in the next 10 to 15 years. Iran also, China brokered peace between Iran and Saudi, which they haven't had for a long time, and now they're in the same economic bloc. So this is going to have a big impact on the global scale. We're not hearing about this in the mainstream media because they don't want us to know, but this will have a massive impact on the de-dollarization, which is exactly what the BRICS are out to do. So this is huge news, guys. If you don't know about this, now you know, and now you understand why. For me, I want to keep all of my wealth in Bitcoin. All right. Next, we've got more bad news for Binance. The Binance has been under attack quite a lot over the past few weeks, especially with the SEC. I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter. Now the Binance Mastercard is going to end, and this Binance Mastercard was used in Latin America and the Middle East, predominantly I think like Argentina, Mexico, and a few Brazil, and a few other countries. But now they have decided to bring it to an end. Now, neither of the two companies have actually spoken about why they're doing this. They haven't spoken about who actually did it and why they're doing it. So both Binance and Mastercard did not comment on this. However, they did say that this will be ending. All right. Next up, we have another I suppose drawback in the Bitcoin spot ETF. So it's a $20 billion delay. Appeal court pushes back decision on Grayscale spot Bitcoin ETF. Now this is so Grayscale, who had their spot ETF rejected by the SEC last year, have actually sued the SEC, saying you have no reason to block it because the spot ETF and the futures ETF, which they have approved so many of, have the exact same risk profile. Their prices are correlated, so there's no real reason for them to block the spot ETF and allow the futures ETF. So they've taken it to court. They were expected to have a decision on the 15th of August, 15th of August, which was like 10 days ago. It didn't come. They were expecting on the 18th of August, didn't come. Expecting on the 22nd of August, didn't come. So now it's obviously causing a bit of strain for Grayscale because there is no clarity on this, and it also shows that. It also shows how stubborn the SEC is. Now, if the court does come back with a decision, and a positive decision for the Bitcoin spot ETF, it will be huge because that will be like a landslide. The SEC would have to approve BlackRock and all the other companies that have applied for Bitcoin ETFs. And if that does happen, it will be huge for Bitcoin, it will be huge for crypto, because it's going to allow institutional investors to come in. And BlackRock, we've spoken about them in the past. When they launched the gold ETF, the gold price went up by 348%. So if this happens, Bitcoin could be well over $100,000 just because of BlackRock. So keep your eyes on that. Now let's look at the market update. All right, so we're looking over the past week at the crypto bubbles. We've got B Bank, we've got SCCP, and Geek, I suppose, IGU. Arix, these guys have been pumping over the past week. It's been a bit of a mixed week, some green, some red. So let's go over to Coin360 and have a look at where Bitcoin is at the moment. As we said the other day, it has crashed at 26,000. It's still holding there at the moment. It hasn't done a lot over the past couple of days. Ethereum is at 1,600 and BNB is down at 215. Fear and greed, we are still in the fee segment. We're at 39. We were at 50, 60 in the past couple of months, but now we're starting to go back in the fee. Next up, we're going to look at the Twitter highlights and some interesting stuff happening here. So this, again, as I said to you guys, the world changed yesterday. It's all over Twitter. It's all over my Twitter feed. If you have a look at this from Sprinter, he's actually shown what the BRICS 2024 are going to look like with the addition of the 6 new countries. And this is the world map and showing you got Russia, China, and all these other countries now in Argentina and like Latin America. That's 2 very large countries in Latin America. Egypt is a massive, massive win. Iran's a massive win, and so is Saudi Arabia. This is a very huge strategic move, and Ethiopia also. It's a huge strategic move by the BRICS to bring these countries in. People here are saying this is potentially very good news for the world. The US has tried to dominate the world with its failed policies through harassment and bullying for far too long. Yeah. All right. Other people saying this is definitely a way to de-dollarization. The more countries that join the BRICS, the weaker the West is going to get. So let's see what happens after that. Next up, we have, yes. So this is other big news that's happening around the world. So we all know that ElSalvador has been mines Bitcoin at a state level. But now we also recently had Nepal also coming in and saying that they are mining Bitcoin at a state level. We had Bhutan that's mining Bitcoin at a state level. We had Kazakhstan mining Bitcoin at a state level. And now we have Oman mining Bitcoin at a state level. So this is huge because the more and more countries that start mining Bitcoin at a state level, the more incentive they have to use Bitcoin as legal tender or use Bitcoin to back their currency. So there's talking out there of Bitcoin may not be used as legal tender. However, Bitcoin will be used like gold to back currency. So they'll make a stable coin that's backed by Bitcoin, which will then can be used as a currency, and people can keep their Bitcoin. So this is huge. This is why we're saying to you guys, this is digital gold, and this is why we are acquiring it. Last but not least, and this is a bit of a long tweet, so I'm not going to go through all of it, but I will explain to you what this guy is saying if my Twitter decides to load up. All right, so here we go. So this guy here, Oliver Villes, okay, 13% Bitcoiner, he basically said that he was a huge Apple fan, and he's been trading Apple since 1998. So we're talking about 25 years he's been trading Apple. And he said that he's been trading it every year for 18 years straight. And he's made it a requirement that anyone that works for him owns Apple. However, now he's obsessed to Bitcoin, and here's why. He uses explanation. He goes, underperformance, even though Apple has been the best performing over the past 10 years, just holding Bitcoin outperforms Apple. Scarcity. He goes, Apple has 16 billion shares outstanding, and yes, that's a B, and it's possible to issue more. With Bitcoin, you've only got 21 million, and there's no one that can issue more. And it's estimated that as many 6 million are lost and gone forever. Yeah, that's true. 3, lost opportunity. He goes, by holding Apple instead of Bitcoin, I've lost opportunity because Apple is going to zero versus Bitcoin. And he actually shows the chart of the Apple shares against the Bitcoin strength in the Bitcoin price. So as Bitcoin price goes up, the Apple shares go down because they are priced in sats. So they become cheaper and cheaper as Bitcoin goes up. And this is the meaning of everything will go to zero versus Bitcoin. And lastly, what was number 4? Limited upside. It's always trying to teach my following at the time of investment. Okay, so what he's saying here is also the other reason why he's gone to Bitcoin is because you don't get into investments after they become a success. You don't get into investments when they become world-known, reserve, and become very successful, because you want to get in early. That's how you're going to make the most money. And then he also says that with Apple, you generally companies, they last around 61 years before they start declining. Apple's already 47 years old, while Bitcoin's only 14 years old. You don't say to a 14-year-old that that's it, you're enough, you've had your bubble, you've had your peak and whatnot. It doesn't happen. So all of these are the reasons why he requires all of his employees to hold Bitcoin, and if they're caught trading Bitcoin, they get fired straight away. All right, let's move on to the adoption highlights. And we've got some good news coming out in the adoption highlights, guys. First of all, we've got Shopify adds Solana Pay to its platform to allow USDC payments. The Solana platform, oh, what the hell? Oops. Okay, so Solana Pay is a payment gateway that's now available on Shopify. So Shopify has already allowed Bitcoin payment. Now it's allowing Solana payment for people to pay with the USDC stablecoin. This is huge because it's going to give more and more people. The more utility we have for crypto, the more mainstream becomes, the more adoption it's going to have, and the more people will start using it. So this is great news for Solana and great news for the adoption of crypto and Bitcoin. Next up, we've got Nomura, Coinshares, Ledger joins venture. Komainu wins Dubai crypto license. So Nomura basically joined up with Coinshares and Ledger, and they have got a virtual assets license or digital assets license in Dubai. And now they are looking at obviously launching an exchange and launching other Web3 and crypto related businesses. Here you've got a picture of Dubai's recently launched Innovation One building, which has physical offices especially for Web3 enterprises. So this whole new building in Dubai now, look how massive, it's actually quite a nice building if you look at it. Very, very interesting design. But this now has been built and it's basically for crypto related businesses. Last but not least today, guys, we have Tether partners up with Swiss city, Lugano, to strengthen blockchain infrastructure. So Lugano is a city in Switzerland bordering on Italy, and they have taken Bitcoin as a de facto legal tender, but they've also released their own stablecoin. You know how I said to you guys, in the future, countries who take on Bitcoin will then use Bitcoin to back their currency, because Bitcoin is the hardest form of money, can't be sanctioned, can't be controlled, so they can back their currency and give their country total financial freedom and sovereignty from other nations. And this is exactly what Lugano is doing. Tether is coming in. Tether is the largest issuer of stablecoins, which is the USDT. So they're partnering up now with Lugano to be able to strengthen their blockchain technology and bring more innovation to Lugano. That is it from me, guys. And as always, I wish you an amazing weekend. And we look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. Until then, stay true to yourself and stay crypto, and peace out. Bye.